Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227. Or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet and I am here in the studio with Lerone Landis. The late Patti Fink is very, very late. She'll be here next week.
Yeah, that's very
on time.
late.
And she can discuss what we're discussing today in her lateness.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have Al McCaffrey on. He's a state senator from Oklahoma and he's running for Congress. Supposed to have him on today. We've rescheduled him for the end of May. He got double booked. You know, campaign stuff came up. He hasn't had his primary yet. So he'll be on probably the end of May, maybe beginning of June. But he said, you know, I can do it by phone. Wouldn't you rather have him here in the studio? Yeah, I would too, and spend the afternoon with him. And so we're going to do it then.
And late, better late than never.
Yeah, you know, and it's not really late. It's not really late because his primary will not have happened yet.
Right.
But yeah, so we rescheduled him. And when I say I'd rather have him here, it's not for me personally. It's a better interview when the person's here in the studio. So anyway, that's why it's just Lerone and me today. We're just going to talk news. First story I want to talk about: SMU students voted down an LGBT Senate seat, and that's not the news part of it. The news are the anti-gay rants that were going on campus. That's the part that really disturbed me. Here's what happened. Let me just give the little background on it. Since 2009, they've been trying to get through an LGBT seat in the Student Senate. The Student Senate has voted it down every year till this one, every other year. And the special seat is would be comparable. There's an African-American seat, an Asian seat, a foreign student seat, a Latino seat, a transfer student seat. There are all kinds of specialty seats that they have. So it's not like they're treating this group real specially. And there have been gay senators on the Student Senate in the past.
Right. So this seat, had they passed it, it would be right in line with what they already have.
Right. For other groups.
For other groups.
For other groups.
Just let's get that out there.
Yeah, and why can't other senators represent gay people? Well, they can, and they do. Just like other senators represent black people, and other black people have been elected to the Student Senate, especially this year. This year they have the most diverse Senate that student body has ever had. Everybody, the whole administration was real proud of the diversity that they elected to the Student Senate this year. However, once it passed the Senate this year, and it passed 43-3, so the Senate was really showing that they were for it. Had to pass by a 2/3 vote of the student body, and it failed with about 53% of the vote. So the students are able to petition to get a revote. And the reason for the revote is, after the Senate passes it, it goes to the student body immediately, like the next week, just a few days later. So in order to get a revote, if they can get 10% of the student body to sign a petition, it'll go for a revote. And Spectrum, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance, the GLBT Alliance on SMU's campus, got more than 10%. They got almost 15% of the students to vote, or to sign a petition. What they didn't get was those students to actually get out and vote, because the final vote was 1,107 votes in favor and 1,025 against. So a majority again voted for it, but it's not 2/3.
Right.
Okay, so, and that's out of about 10,000, maybe 8,000 eligible students. No, it's more than 8,000, more like 9,500 eligible students, because it's an undergraduate thing, not a graduate thing. What do you think of this?
I guess on the surface, I'm kind of shocked, because you would think, okay, students, we're talking about 18 to 25-year-olds, and, you know, I guess maybe it's a myth, but the majority opinion, or not opinion, belief out there is that young people are, for the most part, not homophobic.
They're not homophobic. They're also more liberal in general
Exactly.
than the next generation after them. And yet it's the next generation who's running the school, who has partner benefits for employees, who has complete non-discrimination policies, has put in place anything and everything to make being gay or lesbian on that campus equal, everything that they can do.
Everything they can do. And again, SMU is also the first place where we held here locally, where we used to have our gay proms.
They've hosted all kinds of things like
Oh yeah,
that.
oh yeah. So you wouldn't think this would happen at SMU.
You know, and yet every year, except for last year, SMU has been listed as one of the most homophobic schools in the country.
And I've always wondered why. I guess this is it.
Here's why. What it is, it's a poll of students and student views of their own campus. It has nothing to do with official policies. When it comes to official policies, that's rated by, what's the other student campus organization? I can't think of what it's called. But they rate different campuses on gay friendliness, but it's based on official policies and things like that. SMU ranks next to the top position. I think they give them 5 stars and they got 4 out of 5.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, they were lacking in some transgender benefits and transgender facilities.
Right.
But, and I'm not minimizing those, but I'm saying still,
Right.
4 out of 5.
In order to get a 5, you would need to do that.
You would need to fix the gender-neutral bathrooms, and actually SMU is working on some of those things. So, what this shows is the student body talking about itself says, no, we really don't welcome gay people that much. And isn't that interesting? Now, when they voted to add the African American seat, the largely white student body, by 2/3 of those who voted yes. To add an Asian seat, it's not a predominantly Asian school in any way, but yes, let the Asian students be represented.
Right.
Transfer students, well, there are lots of transfer students, and why would they need a separate seat? Because once they transfer, aren't they just SMU students? Well, they obviously have certain issues that it takes somebody to bring those issues to the Senate to discuss. And that's all an LGBT seat would do.
And they said yes to all of those, except for the gay one.
Here's the part that's frightening. First of all the people that didn't vote, and we know that there's a large percentage of people that don't vote. They don't vote in general elections, they don't vote in presidential elections, they don't vote in campus elections. And if the issue is, should there be an LGBT seat, if 8,000 students didn't vote on whether or not there should be, I kind of get that. It's not my issue. I'm not going to go out of I'm not going to spend the 5 minutes it takes to actually cast a vote. They vote online. It's a website they sign into.
Okay.
I get that. I'm not condoning it. I think people should be involved. I think they should be involved in elections. I think there should be a federal law not limiting people to vote, not limiting when you go to the polls and saying, oh, you don't have the right documentation. I think there should be a law that requires people to vote. Lots of countries, lots of democracies have that. Australia's
Australia.
one. You get a fine in the mail if you haven't voted. And you can get out of it only because you were in the hospital or possibly out of the country. And if you can prove those things,
right,
you get out of your fine. But the onus is on you to prove why you couldn't vote. I think that's the way it should be. I think we should have, 95% voter turnout. on every election.
That would be nice.
That's the way it should be. Okay,
Yeah.
Here's what bothers me, though, most about the SMU situation. There's an app called Yik Yak, which allows you to post anonymously, and it uses your location to...
Now, is it specific to certain campuses?
It's all over the country.
It's all over, okay.
Anybody can download this free app. And what it does is what you comment on, it would take your geo position and it groups those together. So people on campus,
Gotcha.
It's a geo position thing that, okay, so at SMU there have been these kinds of comments on Yik Yak. I hate the term homophobic. It means a fear of gay people. I don't fear them at all. I just don't like them. Okay, now that's not the worst of them, and some of them I can't read on the air. But you know, it shows I just don't like them. You know, you're in college, right?
Right.
And one of the things that you learn in college is getting along with other people, right? And you learn to interact with people. You know, the best colleges are colleges that draw from all over the world. Some of the best interaction I had, my school in 1975 had the first exchange program with Moscow State University, and we won it over Harvard and Yale. 3 of us were in competition for us. The Soviet Union didn't want their students interacting with the rich kids at Yale and Harvard. They thought we would be more appropriate. I took a year of Russian, and the way I learned my Russian was not just in class, but by interacting with our exchange students. That's what college is for, to learn about people. And this wasn't just, you know, some Russians. These were Soviets. These were communists. These kids had been screened, and they were loyal communists. None of them, in all the years we did that exchange program, and actually it's still going on, none of them ever asked for asylum here.
Right.
You know, they were carefully screened and good representatives of their country. But it was fascinating. I didn't approach it like, oh, you're the communists. I don't like communism. I've visited a number of communist countries, and I can tell you more than, you know, anybody who waves the flag and patriotism, communism doesn't work. It just doesn't. You know, I've been there, I've seen it, but wow, I got to interact. I just don't like them. What kind of an attitude is that for a college student?
Well, first of all, you are a progressively thinking person. A lot of these SMU kids who posted these hateful comments obviously are not. That's the furthest thing from their mind, is to go to college to learn about other people, different cultures. You know, they're there because probably they were told to go there. Daddy paid for it. You know, they want to go.
They're reflecting their parents' views.
Absolutely, absolutely. They want to go and be involved with people like them that they grew up with, and join their sororities and or whatever. And anything different than that, then yeah, I actually kind of, even though as bad as it is, I actually kind of appreciate that guy's comment.
Oh, I do too. I always want to know what the opposition is saying.
Yeah,
that's why Patti says she subscribes to every single hate feed.
Right.
That she can, because she wants to know what they're saying.
I want to know. At least you're admitting that I just don't like them.
Here's another one. Yeah, I'm homophobic. So what? Well, would you say, yeah, I'm anti-black, so what? Would you say, yeah,
no, of course not.
I'm anti-foreign student, so what? I'm anti-whatever. You don't say those things because, well, I mean, I'm glad he said it. Like you said, I'm glad he said it. Now, the administration has said they're not going to interfere in the Senate seat. They said it's a student thing, and they're going to leave it to the students. Well, meanwhile, they were hoping that it would pass because they see the need for it, especially when you have this kind of garbage. But the administration needs to address this garbage going on. So you don't want a student Senate seat for that particular group. You know, it's up to the students to decide, but it's up to the administration to lead and to address this garbage. The thing about Yik Yak is we don't know whether this is one person posting all of this or whether this is dozens of people, because there were dozens and dozens of posts.
It could be one, it could be 20. The point is, because of Yik Yak, and you said it's anonymous, that's why they're doing it. You know, let me see how big of a guy you are, and you come say this out in public. Show your face. You know, and you probably won't get, not probably, I know you won't get the same result. But that's why they're doing it. And they're just being childish, you know, along with hateful, all that rolled into one. But it is an eye-opener. It is an eye-opener as to what a segment of our youth think and how they feel.
Because partially, these people who are posting those kinds of comments, they're representing their school here. They don't think they are. They think it's real anonymous. There's an example, though, of somebody who posted a threat against somebody on Yik Yak. Person was arrested, even though it's anonymous. There's geolocation on this.
There's always a way to track somebody
They can
down.
find you.
Oh, yeah.
Your IP, through your IP address. So you want to make a terrorist threat, they'll find you.
Go ahead.
You want to make these hateful comments, it needs to be addressed.
It needs to be addressed.
You know, you can think what you want, you can say what you want, nobody's stopping you from saying anything, but I think it is the job of the administration to address these horrible comments.
Right.
I mean, because seriously, I didn't read the worst ones. I read the ones that we could read on the air. The others
Of course.
were much worse. So this week, here's the other big Texas news. This week, another Texas judge ruled that Texas's marriage amendment is unconstitutional.
Again, let's repeat that. Another judge.
Another
This is the second time that Texas's ban on same-sex marriage has been ruled unconstitutional.
Earlier this year, a Texas judge, a U.S. district judge in Texas ruled the Texas amendment was unconstitutional, put a stay on it, and it goes to the appeals court.
Right.
Probably the most conservative appeals court in the country. Definitely one of the most conservative appeals courts in the country it'll go in front of. This judge, though, was Barbara Nellermo. She's in San Antonio. She ruled that the marriage law is unconstitutional in order to be able to proceed with a couple's divorce case and custody case. Now, in one of the divorce cases that's before the Supreme Court right now, Judge Tina Callahan had ruled on that case. Tina Callahan's a Dallas family law judge. She ruled differently. She ruled that DOMA was unconstitutional. This was before the Supreme Court ruled and said, oh yeah, by the way, you're right. But she ruled in order to also proceed with a divorce. There wasn't a custody case here. So in this case, there's another reason for this to proceed. You know, dividing property between an adult couple, that's one thing. But when we're talking about custody, when we're talking about child support, when we're talking about all those things, unfortunately, in this case, the birth mother, it was two women, one of them gave birth. The birth mother is claiming, well, because the marriage law precludes Texas from recognizing that her former partner should have no custody.
Yeah, you know.
Doesn't that bother you?
This is. How shall I say this?
You don't have to say it nicely.
Well, okay, this is like the third or fourth time a case like this. This is the first time a case like this has popped up. But it is interesting. I've only heard them popping up with lesbians.
Because one of them's a birth mother.
But
Now, in your case, you're the birth father.
But yeah, I was gonna say
Biological father.
there are cases out there where there's the biological father and they separate it. I still have not heard them use, you know, and ugly split ups are ugly. Doesn't matter if they're gay or straight, especially when children are involved. They're just ugly. However, I haven't, and I'm not saying that there isn't one, but I haven't heard of one of a gay male couple where the biological father is trying to take advantage of the anti-gay laws in that state.
We need to take a break. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis. The late Patti Fink will be joining us a little bit later, probably next week.
You're listening to Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
It's time for the 2014 appearance of Igor and the Red Elvises. This is the biggest Russian rock and roll party of the year, and it's Friday, May 2nd, with Igor and the Red Elvises at the Sons of Hermit Hall. Joining Igor and the Red Elvises will be the Pomegranate Vibrato Belly Dancers. A free dinner from the Alligator Cafe will be included. It's a night of unheralded rock and roll fun and dancing madness. Get your tickets now at knon.org, Bill's Records, or Forever Young in Grand Prairie. Don't miss this, or you'll spend the rest of the year trying to make up for lost fun. Igor and the Red Elvises, the Pomegranate Vibrato Belly Dancers, and a free dinner from the Alligator Cafe. Friday, May 2nd at the Sons of Herman Hall in Dallas. Doors open at 7. Red Elvises play 2 sets. All Red Elvises all night long. For more information, knon.org. This is a KNON benefit event.
The YW Nurse Family Partnership is a program of the YWCA that pairs registered nurses with economically challenged first-time mothers in Dallas County. Nurse visits start during pregnancy and continue until the child reaches 2 years of age. Nurses help mothers provide a safe environment for their child, offer support and referrals to other services, and help with setting and achieving goals. To see if you qualify for this free program, 214-584-2322 or ywcadallas.org.
Hi, I'm Cleve Jones, and you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM.
Good segue.
Okay, and you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM. Lerone and I didn't have enough time to discuss what we were going to discuss today. Lerone, go ahead.
Well, we were just talking about the most recent ruling that struck down the ban on same-sex marriage here in Texas. And, you know, we've been talking, it seems like every week we're talking about a different lawsuit that is challenging some state bans. We have 17 states, including the District of Columbia, that now have marriage equality. So we're thinking, okay, well, we're running out of states. And we finally got an answer last week. There are only, well, at the time that they announced it, there's only 5 states that have not had their marriage bans.
It's down to 4.
Now it's down to 4.
Because Georgia, Lambda Legal filed a case in Georgia this week.
And next week it'll be down to 3. Because South Dakota, there's a couple, lesbian couple, Nancy Robron and her partner Jen Rosenberg, are going to challenge the ban in South Dakota. So that just leaves 3. So this kind of goes back to what you said years ago, David, that one way we're going to win this is to just flood the courts with
I talked to Ken Upton with Lambda Legal this week, and I said, has the strategy changed? And he said, no, not out of the national organizations, but probably we've just lost control of it. Originally, and still, the strategy was we want strategic cases. So you're going to fight them in the Northeast, you're going to fight it on the West Coast. Iowa, that one worked. Iowa has a history of civil rights.
They do.
So that was a good one. Illinois was an obvious one also, but not as a first one. So, you know, pick strategically once you get this and this one. Right now there's one going on in Pennsylvania, which looks like a very good one. Well, when you're surrounded by states with marriage equality,
right,
that's a good place to have one. But it's gotten to the point where it's not the national organizations filing these, it's individuals who are filing them, and well-meaning attorneys who are filing them, and it's for a variety of things. The Ohio cases are interesting because first you had 2 couples where one of the partners in each of the couples was dying. And it's very hard, and this is Ken's words again, he said, it's very hard for a judge to look at a partner whose spouse is in the hospital going through chemotherapy and probably won't live and tell him, no, you don't have the right to take care of your partner. I mean, that's all he's asking for. Give me the right to take care of my partner and give me the right, after my partner dies, for the house to stay in my name without having to argue with anybody else about it.
Right.
And that's all he was asking. And the judge ordered that, yes, you do have to, the state of Ohio, you do have to recognize out-of-state marriages for the purposes of a death certificate. And then there were several others that have filed in Ohio after that, and they're doing it very incrementally, saying it's not fair to our children that we were married in one state, we drove back, and we were married, not married, married, not married. The whole premise of the Loving versus Virginia case that allowed interstate, that allowed interracial marriage, you know, the Lovings were already married. They married in another state. And the real decision there was the right to remain married. And that's what they affirmed in the Supreme Court. So that's what they're arguing in the Ohio case. So here's what Ken said. Ken said, you need to file strategic cases, and you need to file ones where you can make your point, and you need to make the point, and you have to have compelling cases. And the Ohio case is compelling because here you have kids that are being affected by their parents being married here, not there, yes, here, not there. Back and forth, not fair.
Wow. Something I'm looking at here says there are 65 pending lawsuits involving marriage laws in 30 different states.
Yeah.
That's a lot of lawsuits, and that's a lot of money. When this is all said and done, I mean, really all said and done at the Supreme Court level, how much money do you think we have spent on this?
Oh, hundreds of millions.
I mean,
total. Look how much they spent just on Prop 8.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would think probably close to the $1 billion mark.
Oh, easily.
You know, because we've been fighting this, since...
160 more cases are fought? Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Now, not all those cases, and this again is Ken speaking, not all those cases are equal. Some of them are very valid cases, some of them are weak cases, some of them are well-meaning attorneys who filed things who have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
The Virginia case that's coming up, it's going to the appeals court in 2 weeks, I think May 14th.
Something like that.
Something like that. That one, it's David Boies and what's his boyfriend's name?
Oh, I forgot.
You know who I mean. The two that fought the, not boyfriend, it's the two that fought the Prop 8 case out in California.
Yes.
And pleaded it before the Supreme Court and won. They're the attorneys in the Virginia case, and the state of Virginia has announced we're not going to fight this one.
They're not going to fight. And they're also, just like in Oregon, they're not fighting their...
Oregon's not fighting theirs. But in the Virginia case, I forgot who picked it up. But a state official picked it up. So it's not the Attorney General. It's not a compelling case when you have the district attorney from some small county in rural Virginia saying, yeah, we have to have this ban, and the state attorney general is saying, no.
And the governor.
And the governor.
Yeah. And
the people, the attorneys who are fighting it are two who have already won on this issue, going through the appeals court and up through the Supreme Court, and won. I think we won that one.
So, okay, so now that we're down to practically 3 states that have not had their...
4 states. Alaska, Montana, North and South Dakota have no no cases.
Well, next week, South Dakota will.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, South Dakota will now, too.
Yeah, so it'll be down to 3.
Okay.
So with those 3, okay, that pretty much blankets the entire country. How soon do you think the Supreme Court will take up the case?
I don't think next session.
Really?
I think the Supreme Court is waiting to see how some of these play out, because Utah was heard by the 10th District, and then the next week Oklahoma was heard by the 10th District. We're expecting a positive result in those. Remember, the 10th District didn't even want to issue a stay on those. It went to the Supreme Court for the stay. So we know where the 10th Circuit stands on this. They thought the reason to put a stay is because you think it might be overturned.
Right.
And the 10th Circuit didn't think it was going to be overturned. So we know where they stand. And it's going to be a 2-to-1 decision.
Yeah.
It was a 3-judge.
Maybe 3-0, but more than likely. More than likely 2-1.
The one is the one who wrote the Hobby Lobby case.
Yeah.
And no.
And if you read his questioning during the trial or during the hearing, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be 2-to-1.
Yeah.
One of them has a history of states' rights, and the other one just by his questions, and also a history of. The other one, who's the more conservative one, one of the Bush appointees, he was the one who refused to put the stay on. It was the conservative one who refused to put the stay on, and then the other one is a.
One is
Obama.
One's a Clinton appointee.
Clinton appointee who's very liberal, has had lots of gay law clerks, and he gets it. He gets it. So,
interesting.
So the South Dakota case, that's just another.
It's a lesbian couple.
Okay.
They're supposedly going to file next week or the week after that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
So good for them.
So it seems like the strategy, like you said, has been, and not among the national organizations who would love to keep control and continue getting positive results, which we've gotten.
Since last summer.
Since Windsor.
Do you want to include Prop 8 in that also?
Oh, yeah.
Because those two were huge, and since then, it's really when the floodgates of court challenges have opened up.
Because some of these lower court decisions have...
they have something to go on.
Well, they've quoted the Prop 8 case, too, in some cases, because that's the one that talks about these ballot initiatives being basically unfair.
Right.
That's the one that talks about animus, and you can't base a law on something just because I don't like you.
Right.
You know, both of us, we don't like Doc at all. Doc is a pain in our butt, but we can't encourage.
We can't go have a law passed against
him. The city council cannot outlaw Doc just because we don't like him and they like us. So you can't do it. We're laughing about it. It's the same thing.
It is the same thing.
It's the same thing. You take out the specific characteristics and you laugh about it, put them in and say, oh, but gay, but I don't like gay.
Right.
They're teaching our kids. No, they're not.
No, right.
Just like I'm teaching my kids to be black. It's the same thing. You can't do it.
You can't do it. You already aren't. So,
Dallas City Council amended its family leave policy. If you remember, a few weeks ago, we had on Teresa O'Donnell. She's the interim assistant city manager. She was turned down for family leave when her daughter was born. Right. And the reason she was turned down is you don't do a two-person adoption in Texas. Explain how that works. You have the experience.
If you're going to do a two-person adoption, actually it's called a second-parent adoption here in Texas. What you have to do is one of you adopt. You have to wait a year or two, and then the second one goes back and files for an adoption. I don't think that was their situation. I don't remember all the specifics.
It was similar to that.
Similar to that.
One adopted, and the other one, or gave birth.
Or gave birth.
And the other one.
And the other one adopts, but there's a waiting period.
So Teresa was turned down for family leave when her daughter was born. Why? Because she's not the mother.
Right.
She's not on the birth certificate. It's fine. We'd love to give you family leave. Now, what I think is funny about these family leave things is how much do you think it costs when somebody is on family leave? How much does it cost a company?
I don't think it costs anything because you're using your...
It's leave. You're not getting paid.
Exactly.
It's leave.
Yeah.
So the company that has interest in keeping you from taking that leave, why?
Right.
You have no interest. If I'm telling you I'm taking... So anyway, they did something similar to a +1, meaning you can add somebody as the person you're taking care of, but it's not just any +1. You have to prove that it's somebody that you live with. So if you share a household with somebody, you can put that person down as your +1. Now, that still doesn't take care of Teresa's case. If her wife had given birth, she could ask for family leave to take off to take care of her wife who just gave birth, but she wouldn't be able to ask for leave. Let's say they adopted a newborn baby. She couldn't ask for leave to take care of the baby. If they adopted, her wife's not sick. There's no medical reason to take off. So it still doesn't work right. It still doesn't.
We could have a whole show on that because I've always thought that part of the Family Medical Leave Act was anybody who was under your care, like in your house. Like when I used to work for the state, I could have put another kid on my insurance. I didn't have to show that I had adopted them, just as long as I was taking care of them. I thought it was the same thing with the Family Medical Leave Act.
Nope.
Wow.
It's very specific. It's a family member. It can be a parent. It can be a spouse that you're married to. It can be a child that is your child.
So it has to be a legal child, a legal spouse. Legal. Yeah.
Legal.
Yeah. There's the difference.
Yeah. And this is another case of where these marriage laws hurt children.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if they were married, a married couple who adopts, you're both on the birth certificate. You're both recognized as parents. You can't have a married couple where one adopts and the other one hasn't.
Right.
There's just no such thing. The parents adopt. You adopt as a couple.
Right.
If you had a married couple, a man and a woman in Texas, and the wife said, well, I want to adopt that child, and the husband says, honey, I love you, but give me Park Avenue, and I'm not adopting that child. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't work that way. But in your case, it could have worked that way.
It could have.
Danny wouldn't have, even though you two are legally married, you've been married for, how long, 7 years?
Oh, wow. I am always so impressed with
Yeah.
how you can remember that stuff, David.
Because I knew that you were married a year before Gabrielle was born. She's 5.
That's right.
Or a year before she was conceived.
Right.
7 years that you're married.
Uh-huh.
In your case, you could adopt a child and Danny not. And it
Yes.
just makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Mm-hmm.
It hurts the kid.
Yep.
Because then, oh yeah, Gabrielle, we both adopted. This one's my kid. That one's your kid.
Yeah.
Man, what are you doing here to these kids?
Exactly.
And you know what the answer is from the other side? Well, those kinds of people shouldn't be adopting.
Right.
You know what? Tell that to Texas, Department of Child...
Department of
CPS.
CPS, yeah.
Child Protective Services.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
if it wasn't for the gay community, there wouldn't be homes for all these kids.
Absolutely.
There are that many that are out there that need parents. Anyway, the Dallas City Council did the right thing. They need to keep looking into this to make sure that every situation in a gay person's household is taken care of. And they did a major one with this, that somebody who's in your household, name a person, that person can be covered. That person can be covered.
That's great.
We just have a couple of minutes before our break. I want to go over this one. A guy named Lawrence Wenke. He's a state senator in Michigan, and a Republican. He's a state representative, and he's running for the state Senate. He just left the Republican Party, and he did it because he's just tired of this kind of treatment of gay people. And Michigan just had a case that went to their U.S. District Court and, again, found in our favor. And, same thing. Or there hasn't been a ruling on that one yet. Has there been a ruling?
I don't think there has been
I don't
a
think there's been a ruling, but it's so obvious. Yes, there was, because that was the one that totally discredited the Mark.
Oh, you're right. There has been a ruling. That's right.
Okay. And what I'm saying right now, if somebody doesn't know what we're talking about, I'm talking gibberish. Anyway, here goes. In a statement dated April 25th, a longtime Southwest Michigan Republican cited the party's discrimination against gay citizens and what he characterized as taxpayer abuse, which he said has created an elite class of government employees as the reason behind his decision. So he's withdrawn from the Republican Party. He's going to run just as a libertarian. We'll see whether that works for him, but he's already an elected official, so he's known in his district.
Right.
During the fight for the marriage amendment that keeps gay people from marrying in Michigan, he said, I was the only legislator to call it what it is, discrimination against our gay brothers and sisters. And here's the part of what I like about him. He said, at the time, 3 local Republican legislators with gay brothers never said a word in support of gay rights. I challenge them to this question. If you won't stand up for your own family members, who will you stand up for?
I like this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean,
really like this guy.
I do too, because he's right. If you're not standing, anybody who would criticize somebody because he voted for something, look, my brother is gay.
Right.
Look, my mother had breast cancer. Look, any of those things, right? You vote for it, I'm sorry, but I have to take care of my own family, and you need to know if I'm not taking care of my family, you think I'm taking care of you?
Right.
You'd really trust me? Would you ever trust these pieces of garbage? No.
I just love it. He called them out.
I do too.
I
do
love
too.
that.
Oh, this is a great guy. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis. We'll be back with more. Lerone has his entertainment report right after this.
This Friday night, Deadheads, KNON and Lone Star Dead Radio present a live performance by author, radio show host, musician, and all-around Deadhead David Gans. David Gans will join Lone Star Dead on the air live for his first ever Texas performance. Don't miss out on this one-of-a-kind premiere event. A free vegetarian dinner by Kalachandis in Dallas is included with admission. Come get in the groove, man, this Friday night, May 2nd at Poor David's Pub. Poor David's is located at 1313 South Lamar in Dallas. Doors open at 7 and tickets are available now at knon.org, Bill's Records, and Groovy Goods in Arlington. Come down to Shakedown Street in downtown Dallas with a guy who has given so much to our community of Deadheads, David Gans. This is a KNON Lone Star Dead benefit event.
Family Compass in Dallas reminds you that April is Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. The mission of Family Compass is to build healthy families and a strong community by preventing child abuse and neglect. Family Compass offers home mentoring and educational programs to at-risk parents that teach positive parenting skills. Family Compass believes that every child has the fundamental right to a healthy family and environment, the opportunity to succeed in school, and the capacity to experience life without violence. More information at family-compass.org.
Hi, this is Patti Fink, and you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM.
And it's time for the entertainment report.
Alrighty, so if you're one of these people who still think that Jodie Foster's not lesbian because she's never uttered the words "I'm a lesbian" publicly, maybe this will change your mind.
Nope.
A rep for Jodie Foster did confirm this week that the actress has indeed married her girlfriend, photographer Alexandra Hedison.
Yeah, but did she announce it? No.
No, she didn't announce it. No.
She had somebody else announce it for her. I don't think
she did. So, well, okay.
I don't think, at least for Patty and Aaron, she's not out enough.
Now, though the marriage has been confirmed in true Jodie Foster fashion, no other details about the wedding were given. I mean, because, she's always been incredibly, extremely private person, which I don't blame her.
That's not out enough.
So it's still not out enough. No. Alexandra, now here's what I didn't know, but this is kind of juicy. Alexandra used to date Ellen.
Alexandra, who she married.
Huh. She used to
So she's a start in...
I didn't know this. I'm like, wow.
That's not really gay.
This is kind of juicy.
That's not gay.
Alexandra used to date Ellen before they broke up in 2004, and then she married her current wife, Portia de Rossi. So, congratulations, Jodie. Maybe
you'll come out one of these days.
Maybe you'll come out and actually talk about your wife one day. We'll see. Openly gay director of the X-Men movies, Bryan Singer, has responded to the bombshell accusations contained in a lawsuit that he raped an aspiring actor and model back in 1999. Now, Bryan wrote in a statement Thursday that he was avoiding promotional events for the upcoming X-Men movie because he didn't want to distract from the attention from the actors in the movie. He went on to say that the claims against him were, quote, outrageous, vicious, and completely false, and, quote, I promise that when the situation is over, the facts will show this to be a sick, twisted shakedown. Now, this is like major. But here's some of one of the big specifics that's saying this is just a bunch of hoopla. This guy is just trying to get money. The lawsuit says that Bryan Singer sexually assaulted him back in 1999 in Hawaii. Well, records have they have proof that Bryan Singer was never in Hawaii in 1999. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's true. That's just what his side is saying. Just going to be interesting. But, here's what I hate about this. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not taking any sides. Right. But if it isn't true, even if it isn't
He'll
true,
be remembered for this.
He's just going to be remembered for this. This is one of those crimes you just don't even want to ever even be accused of.
So, Lerone, when did you stop beating your kid?
See?
It's one of those things.
It's just one of those things.
It's that category.
It is. It's that category.
And Lerone Landis denied ever beating his kid.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody's going to remember that. So hopefully that'll be cleared up soon. Mm-hmm. The NBA's first openly gay player is continuing to ride the wave of what seems to be a great year for him, this past year anyway. In addition to his team, the Brooklyn Nets, being in the playoffs, this week, President Obama appointed Jason Collins as a member of the Presidential Council on Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition. And this was created back in 1956 as a mission to promote healthy lifestyle through physical activity, putting a large focus on children and adolescents. Good for him. Good for him. Mm-hmm. They say his jersey continues to sell out. They can't keep it in stock.
Right.
He's been on the cover of all these magazines. So, you know, like I said, this has just been a really great year for him. I don't know how far it'll his team will continue to go in the playoffs.
He's been great for selling tickets. I don't care how well he does.
He has.
If you own a team, what do you care about? You know, if you're Mark Cuban, what do you care about? You care about selling tickets.
Yeah.
Period.
Period.
Win, lose. If you're losing and you're selling out every day, and you're selling lots of sports memorabilia also, because there's lots of profit in those. A T-shirt doesn't really cost $50 to make. You know,
of course not. Yeah.
You know how much profit they're making on those things. Plus, the other thing I like about it is he's giving all of the proceeds that he gets to the Matthew Shepard Fund.
He does. Yeah.
So,
great guy.
Yeah, he is. He seems like he really is. But, you know, that's all that's important. So if they don't sign him for next year, they're nuts.
No, they will. They will. And last, Time Magazine's list of the 100 most influential people in the world was released this week, with Beyonce ranking in at number 1. But missing from the list, and who a lot of people thought was a definite shoo-in, is transgender activist and actress Laverne Cox. And it has caused some controversy. And here's why. Laverne, they had online voting. I forgot how long it was open, but you could go and vote online for who you thought should be in the Times 100 list. And Laverne came in 5th. 5th.
Really?
That is high amongst the thousands of people who were considered for this list. She came in 5th. That beats out just about everybody. And yet, at the final top total on the list, she didn't make it. But you know, her fans are upset. They've contacted a complaint to the magazine. There's been no response from Time magazine. However, Time has said previously that its editors would have the final say-so on who makes the list. And they just wanted a reader's input. I said, why do you even have the reader's input then? That's what I don't like about these lists. They're so subjective. You know, and like one person on the list, really, Miley Cyrus. Really? And I'm not even really dogging Miley Cyrus down. I think I actually kind of like
Just
her.
how influential
But
is she?
really, how influential? Popular? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's rename the list. The 100 most popular people around the world. But influential? Really? What is Miley
She came in
Cyrus?
ahead of Obama. Really?
Yeah. What is she influencing? How to twerk? I mean, really? Come on. Yeah. So that's why I have a problem with these lists. But yeah, that's upsetting for Laverne.
HRC, Human Rights Campaign, which is the nation's largest civil rights organization for gay and lesbian rights and bisexual and transgender rights, they opened 3 new offices. They're changing their strategy. They opened 3 new offices in 3 of the most obvious places to open an HRC office: Arkansas, Alabama, and Mississippi. Interesting strategy. They also also moved a staff member here to Dallas, and we need to get him on the show.
Oh, okay.
But interesting strategy. Why are they doing this? I think the Dallas person, it's as much to raise money here for the organization as anything, because it's not like we need him in Dallas. You would think it would be Austin, but he's working both.
Right.
He's working both. But why Arkansas, Alabama, and Mississippi? Because it's assumed those are going to be the 3 tough nuts to crack when it comes to getting rid of the discrimination laws against gays and lesbians.
Right.
You know, I guess they could have spread them out a little bit, put one in Louisiana rather than Mississippi, but they decided Mississippi really could use one. I wonder if that person's life is in danger, and I'm saying that with relatives in Mississippi. I guess he's going to be in Jackson. He'll be safe. It's a big city.
Yeah, good luck to him. Hopefully they can undo what took place in Mississippi, which still has not really gotten a lot of national news. And that is, they passed what Arizona tried to pass, and it is now law. Businesses have the right to legally discriminate against gays and lesbians based on their religious beliefs.
Talk about the Kansas City shooter. Because that one has taken a real strange twist.
It really has. This man who, where did I do with it? Okay, here we are. Okay, this is the man who shot up the
Jewish Community Center.
The Jewish Community Center in North Carolina. I'm sorry, in Kansas. What, about 2 weeks ago?
2, 3.
You know, he was part of the Ku Klux Klan. He was one of their grand the Grand Dragon. It's the highest ranking you can get. So, I mean, absolutely,
he's a despicable person.
A bona fide despicable bigot. Okay, well, it turns out that this man also got caught back in the 80s for having sex with a gay black man. Mm-hmm. It was a prostitute. It was a gay black prostitute.
I don't care who it was.
So it's just like, okay, really? Mm-hmm. Are you serious? I mean,
I think trying to analyze this one is, how do you analyze discrimination? How do you analyze bigots? How do you, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Right? Hatred doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And we talk a lot about a lot of bigots have maybe some internalized homophobia.
Sure.
They're probably hiding. I try and say that's not the case all the time. I don't want to automatically jump in thinking that's what it is. But when it turns out to be something this extreme, mm-hmm. you just have to shake your head. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, his bigotry was not necessarily anti-gay, but the Ku Klux Klan hates Jews, hates gays, hates, they hate blacks, they hate everybody.
It's everybody.
Yeah.
It's everybody.
It's a general hate organization.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, most people keep bringing up at the Jewish Community Center shootings, hey, isn't it ironic that all the people that were killed weren't Jewish? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
In his twisted mind, why were they even there?
Right.
So he'd be just as happy with whoever he killed.
Exactly.
And it's it's more ironic to the rest of us. I don't find it surprising at all. You go to any Jewish community center, go to the one here in Dallas, and you're going to find that quarter to half the people who are there aren't Jewish also. Half the people who work there aren't Jewish. That's just not what that community center is about. It's about, it's about activities and community and, and healthy, happy things to do. And it houses organizations that do lots of good work in the community that also don't discriminate against you, whether you're Jewish or non-Jewish. It's just.
And that's great.
That's what a Jewish community center.
That's great that a Jewish community center has a lot of other denominations involved.
I think it surprised Jews less than anybody that the ones who were killed weren't Jewish. It was like, that's who. But this guy wouldn't care, because when you hate, you hate.
Yeah, there's no common sense. There's no rational thinking when it comes to hate.
He'd hate these people for being at the JCC as much as he hates you, because it's just stupidity. But when you find out things like this about this guy, it's not surprising. I mean, this is who he is. He's a hater. He's a despicable individual. So. Speaking of despicable individuals,
oh no, who you about to throw under the bus?
Yeah, the Republican Party, and it's statewide platforms. Texas has a horrible statewide platform, the Republican Party, that's homophobic, anti-gay, it's just hate against gays and lesbians in that platform. 2 states now, as they're trying to broaden their appeal, 2 states have dropped their anti-gay wording altogether. According to, where did I get this article? I think USA Today, Huffington Post. According to Huffington Post, the Nevada Republican Party dropped statements on marriage at all from its party platform, making it the second party to do so after Indiana. Now, Nevada, Indiana, they're both swing states, they're both moderate. They take their senators. In Nevada, you have the majority leader, and then you also have Paul Laxalt? They have a Republican. Is it still Paul Laxalt? I can't off the top of my head. But they have one Republican, one Democrat. Mm-hmm. Indiana has had both.
I'm a little surprised that Indiana's on that list, because they just passed one of the last states that was able to.
That passed an anti-gay
They just passed a big anti-gay amendment.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting it took this long for them to get it through?
True, but it still got through.
It did get through because of who was in the legislature this particular session, and for a decade and a half they couldn't get it through. But according to an advisor to the American Unity Fund, which was financed by wealthy donors such as hedge fund billionaire Paul Singer, to push the GOP to back gay rights, there are people with sincerely held beliefs on both sides of the marriage issue, and that seems to be where the party is heading.
So they're realizing this is just a losing fight.
The Republican Party in Nevada is doing something that I think we're going to see a lot more of, which is appealing to the things that unite Republican voters across the country, bread and butter issues.
Right.
So, if the Republicans campaign on we need more jobs.
But this used to be their bread and butter issue, but it's not
And
anymore.
they won elections.
And they won elections.
If they're going to campaign on lower taxes for everybody, not just for straight couples, if they're going to campaign on, on business and laws that make it easier for businesses to do business, those are winning issues.
Yeah.
But to campaign against people, to tell log cabin Republicans who are devoted, dedicated Republican voters, to tell them that they're not welcome. How does that work?
Not welcome. They can't even have a booth at the convention.
How does that even work?
I don't know.
And expect to win elections. So good for Nevada, good for Indiana. Indiana is going to surprise us and will be one of the marriage equality states, I think, that will become a marriage equality state before the Supreme Court rules the whole thing. You said to me before, you said, do I think that the Supreme Court's going to take up marriage next year? I don't think so. Here's what I think they're doing. I think they're waiting to see how it plays out in the lower courts around the country. I think they want to see more appeals court decisions, and that they won't take one this fall for next session. I think they'll take it the fall after. Just my opinion.
I would agree with that, but then why did they poke their nose in what happened in Utah?
All they did was they placed a stay.
They did, but they didn't even have to do that, but they did. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they're clearly aware of what's going on. How could they not?
That pushed them a little bit closer, and we'll see who's right. I'm not saying they're not going to take one of these cases or three of these cases or whatever. Chances are it'll be one, and it'll be one with compelling evidence. But I think what it's going to be is if they take one this fall. Okay, here's what I think, actually. I'm changing it. If they take one this fall, it's going to be incremental. They'll take one that involves a state recognizing marriages performed in other states. If they wait another year or two, they're going to take one to just throw all of these amendments out.
Right. Okay.
But I think Indiana is going to be one of those states that will have marriage equality before the Supreme Court rules entirely. And it might be incremental there, and by incremental I mean recognizing marriages from other states first, and then actually performing marriages themselves. And why do I think that? Well, they're right next door to Illinois. Illinois has started marriage equality. The whole state will be marriage equality in June. They're next to Ohio, which is also judges have declared Ohio's law unconstitutional, and they're recognizing cases on a state-by-state, case-by-case basis. I think that's what's going to happen. So could be if they take, and I really tend to think they're going to skip this session and they'll hear it the year after.
What is his name who came out, who has that like high rate of accuracy with predictions?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yep. Used to write for the New York Times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll tell you next week, but he has a prediction of when we're going to have nationwide marriage equality.
Well, you can say right now.
I don't know what the year is.
He thinks 2018.
2018, okay.
Is what he's predicted, yeah.
Okay.
But boy, it's sure pushed up.
I was going to say, they might come sooner than that.
Yep.
Might come sooner.
You're listening to Lambda Weekly. I want to thank everybody who stayed tuned this week or who listened to our podcast. You can find our podcast, lambdaweekly.com. You can find us on iTunes. Next week we have Candy Markham. It's the beginning of Pledge Drive, so please listen, please pledge. You can pledge online too at knon.org.
Have your pocketbooks ready.
We will see you next week.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.